July was definitely one of those months where people's patience were tested a bit. I'm sure you experienced the good and the bad of market volatility. Regardless, we are deep in Leo season now, and in this video, I'm going to share with you guys how my portfolio did, despite how painful that month was, including my profit history, how I did in dividends, the buys and sells that I made, and what my future goals are for this upcoming month leading to September. But before we get started, make sure you leave a comment below and let me know how your portfolio did for July. Hopefully, regardless of the market volatility, you stayed in the green. So July definitely had some very volatile days. First, we had the CrowdStrike outage, and that affected healthcare related companies and had airports at a standstill for days, hitting practically every major tech company in the market and costing companies over $5 billion in profits. Then the opposite happened, and tech stocks like Nvidia and AMD surged after some AI hopes, and then the Fed's holding interest rates helped the market recover in hopes of a cut in September. That definitely affected my portfolio, considering that Nvidia is my biggest position when it comes to unrealized profit, but regardless, I was able to pull through in the green for the month of July, making almost 2% in profits. Year to date, I'm doing pretty decent at a 23% profit for the time being, and all time, I'm actually at 41% growth. That I'm definitely proud of. I'm really proud of how my portfolio has grown, and it makes me really excited to potentially get to the point where my portfolio has grown 50%. I think that would be really cool. I'm really working on rebuilding my portfolio right now to make sure it has a healthy combination of long-term dividend growth and long-term profit growth. I started looking at certain metrics like the dividend CAGR, or the dividend compound annual growth rate, which has resulted in me making some modifications, which has sacrificed a bit of my dividend yield, but I think that's at the cost of investing in the companies that have a better long-term dividend payout history. For example, I made two pretty big sells, starting with AT&T, one of the first dividend companies I ever invested in, and DIV, an ETF I've been holding for years. They both did a pretty good job with consistently paying a dividend, but when you have the goal of living off dividends, I didn't really like the history of either. Plus with AT&T, I got in at around $26, almost $27 a share, and I wasn't sure if the company was going to recover enough to where I would finally start making some money. So after selling those positions, along with a small position I had in ChargePoint, I ended up buying into two new positions in Kroger and Vici Properties. Kroger not only has a great profit history, but a way better dividend growth history than ATT, and I felt like Vici was a great replacement to DIV for basically the same reasons. I also bought more into Hershey, McDonald's, and Starbucks, primarily to take advantage of their share prices being near their 52-week lows, which so far for me has already paid off for Hershey. And currently, McDonald's and Starbucks are dealing with sales cuts after the impact of inflation and people preferring to spend the type of money at a sit-in restaurant. But I think these companies will eventually recover, starting with McDonald's, which is repopularizing their $5 value meal, but we're just gonna have to see what happens. So for the month of July, I made $26.36 from the 16 monthly dividend checks I received, and all of my stats were higher than how I did in July of last year, which is always great. The one slight negative is based on the buys and sells that I made, which overall decreased my expected annual dividend payout, assuming I stopped investing and just relied on DRIP, and it actually reduced it from $360 to $353 per year. Not a major jump, but I definitely want to work on increasing that dividend yield and therefore increasing my annual expected payout sometime in the future. I've been honest about this before, but a lot of the positions that I have held or still hold were based on other YouTubers saying that you should definitely buy into this position. I'm not necessarily saying that you shouldn't listen to YouTubers, because then everything I'm saying really is irrelevant, but I'm also saying that you definitely want to make sure you're doing the additional research so you're very comfortable with the position you're about to invest into, and I wasn't. So with that being said, I definitely have to continue to spend time really getting to know my portfolio, which involves me reviewing all the positions that I have so I can fully understand what those companies do and if they fall in line with the main goal that I have, which is again to have a healthy dividend growing and profit growing portfolio. But even though I'm still going through this process and making the changes that I've made have affected my dividend payout. But even though I'm still going through this process and the changes that I have made so far have had a slight negative impact on my dividend payouts, July was still a pretty good month when it comes to passive income. And I talk about that in this video. I go into more detail, including the companies that paid me and stuff like that. So make sure you check out this video if you have time, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And until next time, as always, take care.